In the Yuba River watershed of Nevada County in California, along a small stream called Deer Creek, in the spot where the Anthony House and its erstwhile farm had been, a dam was built. And a 300-acre reservoir formed. It was the late 1960s, and Boise Cascade, the developer, envisioned a recreational residential community. Soon a planned environment to facilitate fishing, swimming, sailing, and other boating and water sports became a reality. By the end of 1969, at least 4 homes had been erected. It wasn't before too long that more homes were built and construction of an 18-hole golf course, including a clubhouse, was underway. The Articles of Incorporation, signed in November 1968, called the community Lake Wildwood. In the 50 years since that beginning, Lake Wildwood has continued to grow. The community is now made up of nearly 2,800 homes. And while it is a thriving community, and perhaps because it is growing and thriving, changing and adjusting to accommodate the day-in, day-out needs of its residents, the realization of the importance to better inform the community, especially new members of the community, about the many facets of what it means to own a home and reside in Lake Wildwood, and what their support through fees and other kinds of contributions means to the community itself, has become paramount to continuing Lake Wildwood's growth and appeal. On October 6, 2018, the Community Relations Committee of Lake Wildwood or simply the CRC, hosted the first in a series of programs designed to do just that. The following presentation will remind those who attended these sessions and offer to those who didn't but are nonetheless interested in benefiting from these series of programs a comprehensive look at what was covered, and we hope answer questions, even pose questions that have not been asked but need answering. We hope too that most of all, these programs will give everyone in the Lake Wildwood community the resources for finding the answers to any questions not specifically asked or answered by these programs. Carl Miller, Fred Hubbardy, and Linda Rubenstein hosted the first session in the program series. Presenters included Bill Yanko, Bill Hamilton, and Jim Knight. The purpose of this first session was to provide a three-part guided tour, both walking and riding, of the various community facilities, the lake, and the 18-hole golf course.
We all appreciate you being here. This is our inaugural event. I'm trying to work on better communications within the community.
The first part of the tour started in the Manzanita Room on the lower level of the Lake Wildwood Community Center. Built in 2009 and conveniently insinuated as a natural centerpiece to the marina and community swimming pool complex. The approximately 11,000 square foot, two-level facility houses 5 multi-purpose rooms of various sizes to accommodate various size groups for a variety of events and activities. To name just a few, there are summer camps for the kids, conference seating setups, ideal for club meetings, or events such as spring fair and musical seminars, and activities such as dance and yoga classes. Some of the extras available for use in the community center include whiteboards, audiovisual equipment, free Wi-Fi, a portable dance floor and stage. Downstairs you'll find the Manzanita Room, the Dogwood Room, and the Redbud Room. Upstairs is the Marina Recreation Room, and the largest of all the rooms, the Lake Room, and its adjoining kitchen. Just outside the Lake Room, and as an extension of it, is the terrace and its view of the marina and lake. A big draw for the community center during the summer is the Lake Wildwood Pool Complex. Its 42 by 75-foot pool, staffed with lifeguards, opens from May to September. For the price of an annual fee or small day-use fees, members and their guests may enjoy some recreational swim, or get some exercise in lap swim lanes. Swim lessons for all ages are also available. And a wading pool with its own fountain affords water sport and fun for even the tiniest of community members. Changing rooms with showers and restrooms are all a part of the amenities. Last, but certainly by no means least of the amenities already mentioned, is the Lakeside Cafe, open whenever the pool is open, serving fast foods, snacks, and all kinds of treats. And like the community center complex of rooms, the pool too can be rented for special functions. The tour guides pointed out that this is all part of Commodore Park, the largest of Lake Wildwood's 5 parks. In addition to expansive beaches, lots of shoreline, and lots of places to dock your boat, Commodore Park also offers a pavilion equipped with its own sound system and available for reservation by large picnic groups and special events. There's a pickleball tennis court complex equipped with lights for playing at night and double stripes so that there are 6 pickleball and 2 tennis courts available for reservation fee-based play, with plans for expanding the courts to accommodate even more. In addition, the park contains volleyball courts, horseshoe pits, shuffleboard, swing sets, and lots of room for throwing frisbees or playing disc golf, and weather permitting, the occasional concert provide many opportunities for great family fun. Before setting off to other facilities and sites, the tour stopped briefly to learn that the marina, encapsulated in the Commodore Park Community Center area, offers 88 slips, half for pontoon boats, half for ski or fishing boats, that any member may reserve, provided he or she is in good standing and has the patience to wait. For high demand and limited space for storing boats at the marina necessitates a rather long wait list. And complicating matters, if you are fortunate enough to get a space for your boat in the marina, the lowering of the lake and the possibility of desilting occurring on an annual basis will necessitate the removal of your boat, usually from October to April or May. All that being said, the tour guides also explain that the marina offers a self-serve gasoline pump and an assortment of paddle boats for rent. Hired to transport the tour group, the Yuba bus soon arrives. The passengers file in, seat themselves, wave to the camera, and it's off to the next stop on the tour. On the way to the first stop, the tour passes the properties comprising the old Voigt farm. The farm was subdivided into 3 properties that are now owned by Larry Ellert, Martin Voigt, and Scott Gutierrez. Noteworthy about these properties is that, while they are physically located within the gated community, they are not a part of the Lake Wildwood Association and remain outside its jurisdiction. Accessible from Lake Wildwood Drive, Meadow Park rivals Commodore Park in the variety of services and facilities. There are, of course, picnic tables in the grassy stretches between the beach and the parking lot. There's a play area for the kids and lots of shoreline. An outdoor basketball court also provides space for pickleball. There's even bocce ball lanes, where the bocce ball club meets regularly for games and tournaments. And close by are racks for storing kayaks. For a $150 annual fee, you get the convenience of keeping your kayak near the water. Hidden away at the entrance of the park is the Lake Wildwood Video Production Facility, which, among other viewing outlets, serves up product for the local Comcast public access station, Channel 95. But what you'll see first of all, and very prominently as you drive down into the park, is a gravel boatyard, where for $500 annually, members reserve a space for storing boats and their trailers in dry dock year-round. Although there are nearly 80 spaces available, as with the marina, space is a precious commodity, so expect a long wait to secure a space for your boat. At the lakeside end of the yard is a boat ramp and docking facility available for use by any members of the community for launching and retrieving their boats. We should add that the use of the ramp is free of charge. The next stop on the tour is Deer Creek Bridge, with a slight detour through Hideaway Park, one of the most popular parks, also just off Lake Wildwood Drive, and accessed via Laurel Hill Loop. The park offers picnic tables, kayak racks, boat docks, grassy expanses, and near the beach, a play structure for the kids. There's also a pavilion with barbecuing facilities for large groups to enjoy. It's at the bridge, however, that the tour group disembarks again to explore the point at which Deer Creek officially enters the lake. The first item pointed out is the Sanitation District's pump station on the northwest side of the bridge. As Carl Miller explains,
there's 14 pump stations, all managed by the Sanitation District.
He's sure to emphasize that problems with sewer need to be taken up with the Sanitation District, not Lake Wildwood. Across the bridge, the group explores the excavation being done in preparation for the deposits from the desilting process anticipated when the lake is lowered in the coming months. This is only a staging area, it's explained. Eventually, the deposits will be moved to a permanent location yet to be determined. The group is also encouraged to check out the Weir Dam located on Deer Creek under the bridge. This is where the water amounts flowing into the lake and paid for in a contract with Nevada Irrigation District, or NID, are measured. Lake Wildwood pays NID for 100 miners inches, approximately 1,100 gallons per minute. When the creek flow is at higher levels, however, according to the contract with NID, any water that rises above and flows over the Weir Dam and into the lake is free. It's off now to get a look at the two emergency exits on the north side of Lake Wildwood. Following Sun Forest Drive in a northerly direction, we come upon the first exit, which leads east out of the community toward Bitney Springs Road. The second exit, where Lake Wildwood Drive meets Fair Oaks Drive, leads to Pleasant Valley Road. It should be noted that these exits are only available to emergency traffic. The noon hour had arrived, and the tour was wrapping it up on the north side of Lake Wildwood. Before exiting this part of Lake Wildwood, however, and proceeding south on Pleasant Valley Road to the main gate, where the tour would continue with a look at the association's maintenance yard and the clubhouse, the tour group's attention was directed to the North Gate Tennis Complex. As the name suggests, this facility is located across from the North Gate, where Thistle Loop and Wildflower Drive meet. The part-time tennis manager's office and 4 tennis courts for daylight use only make up the complex. And as with pickleball and tennis at Commodore Park, members may use this facility for an annual or daily fee. The motorcycle parking lot was also pointed out. Across Wildflower Drive at the North Gate, members have a lot specifically for parking motorcycles. As you may have already surmised, motorcycles are not permitted to drive on the streets in Lake Wildwood. And like boat storage reservations, members may get a spot to park a motorcycle for an annual fee. And as with boats, expect a wait list. Heading south on Pleasant Valley Road, the tour crosses over the Anthony House Dam. Recent inspections have judged the integrity of the 50-year-old dam to be sound, and with proper maintenance, able to remain so for a very long time. In the coming months, after the lake has been lowered as much as possible, the spillway and one of the release valves in the standpipe are slated for some of that proper maintenance. Just down the road from the dam, the tour stops to take a gander at the RV storage facility. In the early days of Lake Wildwood, it accommodated the temporary housing needs for the construction crews. Soon after that, it assumed the role of campground for Lake Wildwood residents and their guests. There are some who advocate for its return to that role. For now, it's a place for members to store camping trailers, motorhomes, and the like in a location monitored by security patrols and secured by a locked, gated entry. The fees vary from $400 to $300 annually, depending on the size of the vehicle. The property here is also expansive enough to be multi-purposeful. A portion of it, it's pointed out, is used as a depository of lake silt from desilting operations. Turning back into Lake Wildwood, this time through the main gate at Lake Wildwood Drive, the tour pauses briefly to note Station 44 of the Penn Valley Fire Protection District. Once through the gate, opposite from Station 44, another motorcycle parking lot is pointed out. And just a little further from the gate, on Cottontail Drive, is the final destination of the tour, the Oaks Clubhouse, the heart of Lake Wildwood. The offices of the general manager and the various administrative staff are located on the lower level of the clubhouse. The upper level is more convivial, offering wining and dining in the Pine Room restaurant and the 19th Hole Bar. There's also the very spacious terrace located between the restaurant and the bar and affording members and their guests up-close and grand views of the golf course. The clubhouse also contains the Cedar Room, the community's largest room for meetings, assemblies, banquets, social and performance art events. Also found in the clubhouse is a much smaller acorn room accommodating much smaller meetings and group functions. The clubhouse is also the place to go for golf and the golf shop, where a variety of golf-related services and products are available. It's also the place to go to find Lake Wildwood's Golf Pro. Before taking a lunch break, there is one more thing to see. Adjacent to the clubhouse is the headquarters for Public Works. The tour group strolled through the yard and explored where Public Works' 5 employees store, maintain, and when necessary, repair equipment and vehicles in their continuous effort at upkeep for all the various facilities and infrastructure throughout Lake Wildwood. Following lunch, it was time to explore the lake. Bill Yanko, a member of the lake committee, guided the tour not only for landmarks and other points of interest on the waters, but also for the myriad facets of the maintenance and management of the lake. In his brief remarks to the group on land, Bill spelled out the role the association has in assuring the integrity of the lake and keeping it viable as a safe and aesthetically pleasing part of the community, indeed integral to the overall appeal. He had begun with a reminder of the prominent role nature plays in every decision about the lake. Now that the group had boarded pontoon boats at Commodore Park for a tour of the lake, Bill's words resonated along the way.
Mother Nature drives a whole lot of the issues that we basically have to react to under the subject of lake maintenance. One of the big things we do on the lake is the periodic sediment removal. And that's a classic example of nature telling us what we have to do and when we need to do it. We try to plan around that. We try to plan based on the sort of average rainfall years and the average amount of sediment that comes into the lake based on. And removing sediments is critical to keep the shallow bays open. If it was left up to Mother Nature, the eventual fate of a lake is to become a meadow.
From the boat, Bill illustrated the point by pointing to the dam and reminding the group of its name, the Anthony House Dam. A name given because long before there was a dam or any notion of building a dam, there was a house, a farm, a meadow where the Anthony family lived and where a lake now exists.
It takes a long time, but that's what happens, leaving nature to her own methods. Sediments keep coming in, and eventually a lake fills up. So we have to do that kind of maintenance if we want to keep a lake. For most of you think, this is a pretty easy thing. We just open up the valve, let water out of the lake. When it gets down to the level we want it, we turn the valve off, and then we get some big tractors out there, and we take a bunch of sediment out of the lake. There's a whole lot more involved to it than that. We have to have both state and federal permits granted for governing the sediment removal and how we do it. Related to the lake lowering itself, we have to conduct downstream monitoring to ensure we're not causing damage to the fall salmon run that's occurring at the bottom of Deer Creek at the Yuba River. Part of doing that in order to ensure we're not damaging the salmon run, we don't just open the valve and let water out. We actually try to model a natural rainfall event with our flows. If you look at what's called a hydrograph, which is a graph of the flow you get in a creek after a storm, you see the flows come up very rapidly at the beginning and then tail off. And so we try and model that sort of flow path when we're lowering the lake. And part of the reason for that is we don't want to trap salmon up on ground. And nature's creatures have adapted. They understand normal rainfall patterns, and they can deal with that sort of a hydrographic release. So we're working with the environmental community to do our lake release in as user-friendly and environmentally friendly manner as we can. We have to coordinate our water release with Engelbright Dam. There are regulations governing the flow in the Yuba River below Engelbright, and there's maximum and minimum flow limits that are supposed to be maintained in the Yuba. So when we're releasing our water, they have to cut back flow out of Engelbright so that the whole flow in the Yuba remains balanced. Another area of lake maintenance is when springtime arrives. You've all been out there in the spring after we've had a wet winter, and you see all the branches and garbage and junk on the beaches and all the stuff that's flowed into the lake during the winter. We need to get that cleaned up and try and make the lake looking like now, before we're ready to really start using it in the spring. Another area that I think we could put under lake maintenance is that we do extensive water quality testing on the lake. E. coli is on everybody's minds. We're working hard on this problem.
E. coli is indeed a big concern for the residents of Lake Wildwood. Having broached the subject, Bill proceeded to tell the group of the strong evidence suggesting geese play a role in spreading the pathogen. He pointed out some of the areas where E. coli had been discovered in unacceptably high concentrations, and confirmed it would be virtually impossible, certainly impractical, to remove geese from the lake, but that disrupting or making incommodious the geese nesting habits and grazing are some of the measures presently working to mitigate, even check, their role in the spread of E. coli.
Lake monitoring, in addition to E. coli, we are concerned about nutrient levels in the water. When I talk about nutrient, it's nitrogen and fertilizer. The same things you put in your garden, make your plants grow. They also make bacteria grow and algae grow, and the whole world of microorganisms out there in the water, like nitrogen and phosphorus. The proper amount is good. Too much causes problems. So we keep track of the nitrogen and phosphorus levels in the lake. Too much nutrient can cause blooms of undesirable organisms like cyanobacteria. It's also called blue-green algae. Blue-green algae can cause various problems. Some species create toxins that can be very poisonous. At the other end, if you get too much growth of blue-green algae or green algae, you can get oxygen depletion in the water, which in turn then will kill the fish. So nutrient levels are really important to us, and we keep close track of that. In addition to nutrients, we look at parameters like transparency, water temperature, conductivity, dissolved oxygen, pH, turbidity, chlorophyll A, and phycocyanin. Phycocyanin is a pigment that is in blue-green algae. So by measuring the pigment, we have a surrogate measurement of the amount of blue-green algae or cyanobacteria that we have in the lake. So we can keep track of that and hopefully detect any blooms starting to occur before they reach a level that would be problematic. Aquatic weed control is a lake maintenance issue. We contract with a commercial company to do the weed control. The company is called Clean Lakes. They do all of the work on the weed control. Again, we have to have permits for that. Clean Lakes obtains the permits for us. There's testing associated with that to ensure that we don't discharge any excessive levels of herbicides out of the lake. Clean Lakes takes care of that work and files the necessary reports. So that is all done through a contractor, and it's really useful to have somebody who does this all the time and knows exactly what they're doing. The dam gets inspected, the valves are inspected. All of these things have regular maintenance going on, and we're having work done on concrete repairs on the spillway. Now, our spillway is not going to fail, but there are some needed repairs on it, and so those are being done this year. The last thing I wanted to touch on here is not really a lake maintenance issue, but it's the issue of water rights permits. We didn't get to just put a dam up and then catch all the water. There are specific water rights that were allocated and agreed to that authorize us to capture the water that's in the lake. And there are conditions associated with those water rights that we have to meet. The water rights are an agreement that is between our association and NID. Originally, the water rights was negotiated by Boise Cascade, but that was then transferred to the association when the association took over control of Lake Wildwood. Amongst those water rights, we are authorized to retain a maximum of 3,840 acre-feet of water. That's basically the volume of the lake. We can't hold back any more water than that, but then we don't have the ability to do that. That means the lake is full, so anything above that is going out over the dam. Our authorization to retain water in the lake is November 1 to April 15th. During the summer, during the hot weather, lakes evaporate a lot. A lot of water loss that goes on in the lake due to evaporation and due to just seepage in the ground, but we have no right to retain any additional water during that period. So we buy water from NID during the summer to essentially keep the lake full. And then when we get into the fall, again, we stop buying water, and after November 1st, we can start retaining water through natural flows. We're also required to release 5 cubic feet per second downstream all year. Now, we can't retain any water during the summer. We're supposed to release 5 cubic feet or natural flow, whichever is less, which is what the permit says. Well, our system is managed by NID during the summer, but what we're basically saying is that since we buy water to keep the lake full, and that was based on engineering calculations that were done, any water above that, which we're purchasing, is then natural flow, which can go over the top of the dam. So that's kind of how we're doing that.
So with a better understanding and appreciation for the amount of work that goes into lake maintenance and management, the group toured the lake to familiar and for some unfamiliar sites on a course enhanced by Bill Yanko's talk, and with a perspective improved by a good deal of insight and a little bit of awe. The course included Pine Island, a favorite nesting place for geese, and a place where the eggs in nest are treated with a non-toxic oil compound to discourage and retard hatching. Thereby, it is felt, reducing the number of geese and the threat of spreading E. coli. Pine Island, it was pointed out, lies just off the shore of Explorer Park. Across the channel from Pine Island is another park, Vista Park. Then on the other side of the lake, there's Hideaway Park at the mouth of the channel stemming from Deer Creek. Eventually the course takes the group or an offshore view of Meadow Park. Finally, it's back to Commodore Park, where everyone disembarked. The next stop was a return to the clubhouse for a tour of the golf course. Bill Hamilton and Jim Knight assembled everyone on the south side of the clubhouse where golf carts awaited to ferry the tour group to the many points of interest along the course in this last leg of the tour. Before starting out with the group, both men shared some insights into the management and maintenance, as well as some of the history and the appeal of the golf course in Lake Wildwood.
I have a budget, and Bill has a budget. I bring the revenue in, and Bill spends it, basically. I try to bring in as much revenue as I can so he can spend more money. And actually, up until last year, we've been doing that. Last year, we had a little bit of a hiccup, but we'll get back going and bring in more revenue than our expenses. We're going to, I'll give you a little history of Lake Wildwood. I couldn't go all the way back, but I do know we were built in 1970, and our architect was Mr. Bell, and he did a really nice job. Knots and Len came in and redid an entire master plan for us. We had that in our existing clubhouse. We don't right now, but it kind of shows some projects that we want to do on the golf course. When I first got here, I got here in 1993, and I pulled some stats out from 1998. I couldn't find anything going back farther, but I'll give you an idea of how many people used to play here. In 1998, actually, our men's club had 532 members of our men's club. Normally at a private club, you're at 350 total people. Okay, we had 532. Today we got 310. Our ladies club had 179 members, and today they're about 89. The 9-hole ladies had 146 members, and they're down to 100. And our 9-hole men had 80 members, and they're up over 100 right now. Joe Stein, well into his 90s. We got another guy, 92, playing. Phil Martino's still out there playing. He hadn't played in a while, but he's still on an annual membership and going to play. So that can kind of show you the logistics of Lake Wildwood, how, when they first opened up, I mean, this was a real retirement place. And the average age of all the golfers, I would say, just my guess, 55 to 60. Back in the 1998, we used to do about 70 to 75,000 rounds of golf here a year. And we're pushing just to get right around 40,000 right now. So over that time, we've lost about 35,000 rounds of golf. If you take a private club, let's say Peachtree down the road, they're pushing, 25,000, somewhere in that range. 25 to 30,000. So we're still doing more rounds than most any golf course that I know of. But you can see how busy we were at one time. We used to send people off every 8 minutes on both sides and do crossovers to get that many people, and we'd still have tee times going at 4 or 5 and then people on the waiting list. It's so much better right now. Now all the members can find times, they can get their times to play, and they can really enjoy their golf course. So back to the pro shop maintenance. I'll just tell you a little bit about what the golf shop does. We're a fully stocked golf shop, apparel, balls, tees, gloves, anything you need for golf. We check everybody in, send everybody the tees, we run the tournaments, collect all the fees from people that pay. We do club repair, we have rentals, everything you need to do in a golf shop, that's what we do in there. And then Bill can tell you what the golf maintenance staff does.
My claim to fame is that I'm the poorest grass farmer in Nevada County. My guys, we got 8-9 guys. We roll out at 5 in the morning, and we pop up here and we start mowing the greens, change the cups, we mow the fairways. So our mission first thing in the morning is to just get out and get ahead of everybody. First tee time is at 7, so it's like presenting a stage. We gotta have all our stuff done before that 7 o'clock group goes off. So we're moving, it's kind of like a train, we're out in front of the golfers, and then as the golfers play, they trail in behind us, and they've got a nice clean facility with bunkers are raked and greens mowed, tees mowed, fairways mowed. The golf course presentable and enjoyable for everybody. In the afternoons, we work on some special projects. We try to you know, be consumer friendly and try to stay out of the golfers' way, but we also got to get a job done too. So that's kind of the balance in the afternoons when we have to mix it up with the golfers. And you know, sometimes they don't like us, and sometimes we don't like them. But we got a job to do, and they're paying the rent. So it's a balance. And I think for the most part, our members here, I tell you what, I've been in the business 35 years, and I really got to admit that the members here are probably some of the most personable, most knowledgeable members, and accommodating to the needs of the golf course maintenance staff. I really got to give them kudos for that. Right now, we're you know, we just got through the 4th hottest summer on record. They just seem to get worse and worse all the time. We do have plenty of water we get from NID, and we'll go look at some of where the water source comes through. But we're lucky that way. A lot of guys don't have as good water like we do, and quantity-wise. But right now, with the change of the season, it's called overseeding, and we're planting perennial ryegrass into the fairways so that they'll be green for the wintertime. Our base turf is a Bermuda grass turf, which you would find, it's really all through California, and if you garden it all at your house and you turn a shovel full of soil over, you don't know what Bermuda grass is. It just pops up everywhere where you don't want it. But luckily for a golf course, it works out pretty good if you keep it mowed down and tamed. So this year we're putting in which is called winter grass, perennial ryegrass. And if you look behind you over here on the driving range tee, this one's already been done. And that tee right there will stay nice and green throughout the winter months when we get frost and whatnot. The elephant in the room is the new irrigation system for this whole deal. It's about 100 acres of turf. Like Jim said, the course was put in the 70s, and the irrigation was put in the 70s as well. There's been some minor mini projects done with some laterals and some new heads and stuff, but still it's very antiquated. It needs to be at the 40-year mark. Typically a golf course will put in a newer system. We were very close to getting a new system, but the clubhouse here got condemned at the same time. People wanted a new clubhouse at that point rather than a new irrigation system. The unfortunate thing is you can't wrap your arms around it. It's kind of like a culvert, or it's kind of like a lake dredging, or something like, you know, some of these Unit 4 projects where it's all underground. And so basically, you know, you're putting almost $3 million into the ground, but the net result is, you know, what you're looking at, what you're going to see this afternoon.
It was on to the carts and off to the first stop, where Bill explained what had happened to the top of the hill where the clubhouse now sits.
The engineer said, well, it's too high, we got to take this site down 8 feet. So we had a dilemma. It's like, we'll take it down 8 feet, what are we going to do with all that dirt? It's right here. This berm and the other berm on the other side by the driving range. So what used to happen was you used to be able to be on Wildwood Drive and look right into my maintenance yard. And maintenance equipment is always colored yellow or orange or fluorescent green, and it was kind of an eyesore. So when we came up with this plan to build some huge berms here on both sides, now it really hit the maintenance facility, which it's been. Now we don't have to look at bad golfers from in here.
Jim, on the other hand, explained the color coding of the tees and the appeal one color has over the other.
We got rid of red. Okay, we used to just have blue. What did we used to have? I can't remember. Black, blue, and red. And red were always the ladies' tees. Well, the men, when they got older, wouldn't go up there because they were ladies' tees. So we changed the colors. And we went black, blue, white, and green. So we didn't have no more red tees, and all the men now are going up to the white tees and playing, which is the exact same spot the red tees used to be. But anybody that plays out here knows that's a true story. It was just that stigma of red tees should only be for ladies. We got rid of that, and people now are being able to enjoy the game a lot more. In fact, I'd probably say 25 to 30% of all the men here are playing on those white tees now.
Absolutely.
You know, it's starting to, if you're just learning golf, you would go up to the green tees. You always want to play something that's going to be enjoyable. Just because longer hitters will play back doesn't mean everybody should play back. So if you're just beginning, we've got sets of tees for everybody, and really soon we're going to have a set of junior tees. Let's say the men's club, or from the men's tee, it's 3,200 right now. 3,200 yards, we're going to have a 1,400 yard set of tees. For juniors and seniors that just want to get out that quit playing, we want to get them back in the game too. So we're going to have some nice forward tees where the longest our longest hole might be 220 yards. And we've already had some people come in and say they're very excited about that happening because then they can get back out and start playing again. So that's going to happen fairly soon.
Fairly soon, yeah.
This was only the first stop, and there was a lot to see, and Bill and Jim were eager guides. Once back on the carts, the group chugged along the trail past a landscape of trees, grassy knolls, encountered the occasional wildlife, over bridges, streams and ponds, across roads. And at the end of the course, having gone in full circle, a spectacular view of the clubhouse itself. But wait, it's not over. We have to back up and let Bill tell us about one of the more interesting, one of the more curious and fascinating sights along the way. It's at the 12th hole where a tree used to be and now stands carved something else.
That tree fell, and it fell right on the bridge. And under that bridge are big steel I-beams, and it twisted the I-beams. It hit so hard. But anyway, we made a temporary bridge out of it. And then we were in the process of taking the tree out. So we had a guy cutting off sections. So we got to, that section was actually perpendicular with the ground, or parallel to the ground. So what we took a backhoe and we grabbed the top of it and we filled it up, and we were like a day away from just taking the rest of it out. And I was playing golf that one day, and I was chatting with one of my friends. He goes, "You know what? You ought to carve a bear out of that or something. Why don't you round up some money?" I said, "Why don't you round up some money?" And honest to God, this is the truth. He went into the bar after we finished our round. We passed the hat. Everybody was all in. They made like $1,000 in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
So I don't know if you've ever been over to the Penn Valley Hardware. They have a carver over there like once a month. We got in touch with those guys. They came out, and that's the end product right there.
Whoa.
Well, there you have it, a tour of some of the highlights of our community. Remember, it's just the beginning, the appetizer, if you will. 5 more courses follow, providing in-depth exploration of the history, management, fiscal character, governance, and community relations, both internal and external. We hope you will join us for them all.